Welcome everybody here today to Services Committee meeting, the 14th of June 2024. Call this meeting open at 9 a.m. And I'd just like to welcome Councillor Campbell here, who's been good enough to put his hand up for the position for the next few meetings. Thank you, Councillor Campbell. And if I can begin with any applications for video link. Chair. Everybody here, Neil, and there being no apologies. Everybody being here and any disclosures have been Neil submitted. Public participation, so no public participation. There being nothing else to address, we'll move into the business items, please. Mr. Phelps with the financial summary and investment reports. Following on, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So on page 3, we've got our report 0.6.1. Down one there, that's the financial information summary. As indicated to the end of May, we have a positive variance to the budget of $11.3 million at the moment, and that's comparatively $2.5 million period. There is major reason for that. So we'll go through those as we go down through the summary of main variations. Moving into page 4, which is the first page of the main variations. The operating revenue is up by about $13.8 million. Main reasons for that, just main contributors. Family daycare revenue was higher by about $60 million. So we received our second instalment of our enhancement project to attract additional educators to the service to try and provide more service to the demand out there in the community. The economic promotion revenue was higher by about $120,000. We've successfully received some open street program money, which is a tourism promotion. So we're looking at doing some events in the areas over the course of probably the next 12 months. Sale yards revenue was higher by about $65,000, increase through in throughput, which has been quite good through special sales that have happened in the last couple of months. The golf course revenue is down by $65,000. We have got a bit of a catch up from the Scone RSL Club just with its competition fees and its maintenance money coming through from the memberships. So we'll be looking at bringing those into account in June, and that will be paid in June as well. Warburton is lower by $271, as in previous reports. There's lower centre admission fees, reduced cafe income by us leasing it out. Also, the Warburton Scone and revenue anticipated through. So, and the final there is that we haven't had any other major functions at the or events at the facility for the last 12 months. We will have at least another today.
Still on that, Mr. Phelps, do we have a finalised figure on Warbirds over Scone against that number?
The revenue streams for the town were about 130 to 140,000. And the income and the expenditure was about spent by about 25,000. So in total about $150,000. Moving down further into the items, waste revenue is higher by $150,000. We took up a major vote last month, but we still have higher benefit charges coming through and scrap metal sales again. So that's quite pleasing for the facility, and we're expecting that way to serve. The general revenue was higher by about $290,000, I should say $290,000. It's higher because we've had a little bit higher general revenue from our letting, as well as the competitive top up and financial assistance areas coming through, in higher interest on investments as such, obviously with the increase in the interest rates. Our planning again is higher by about 90,000. Additional flood management grant money coming through, wiped out a bit of the overspend in that area. Plus also we continue to have new development contributions coming through. So we've taken up a voting parts of the development contributions, and again, but coming through and maybe has within the year as well, more attraction around development in the community. White Park revenue was lower by about $100,000. There's been improvements in the revenue streams, but the facility hasn't produced the revenue we were hoping. We have got a full of events coming through, so as you'll see in further reports in the services agenda, when we talk about White Park events coming through, there's a list of those noted in the agenda for White Park.
Mr. Chairman, I just asked regarding that. Will that be sufficient? The proposed booking. We both have these things on.
Yeah.
Sorry. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Regarding the White Park agenda and also the bookings, the proposed bookings that are coming through, will that bring us back up to in the black, or is it not quite that far with that maybe not able to be achieved?
Yeah, moving into the future years, obviously we start to attract more big size events that have probably been previously at 8. But we're anticipating that that'll come back into the next 2 years, 2 to 3 years, and produce revenue for the facility. Obviously, we're still doing development at the facility, which entails a lot of electrical upgrades, which finished over the course of the next couple of months, and having power campsites, so that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Our bridge revenue is lower, about $90,000. Just with the funding, it's not a timing issue overall. Our bridge program is now complete as of June, so a lot of claims. So that's a good result coming through to have that finalised. Our regional roads grant revenue is higher by about $12.4 million. That's the major jump in the revenue streams. It's the second milestone that effectively it's money we receive, put it away into the bank, and have it for construction next year coming through. Our local roads grant revenue is about $160,000. We've had a bit of the top up with the financial assistance grants, as well as we received reimbursement for from the Midwest Council's road ceiling works coming through. So the option I completed. Sewer revenue is high by $110,000. Again, we've got higher section 64 contribution, so that's part of our development being happening at the moment in the community. Annual access charge, and also that happening for the integrated water cycle management project. And the final one there, which is all about operating budget, which is nearly $1 million higher budget. Our water supply and revenue. It's pretty well encompassed by our section 64 contributions again, as well as the annual access charges, our use consumption fee, again higher in water, so water is being used, and the major jump up in this one is the final installment of our village standpipe points the grant fund for that project. So we finalised that project now, and that. Moving down on from expenses, here we're going to split over about $1.1 million. Statement constant that was going to be raised in December, still giving our work coming through, and identified where there is some shortcomings. So we're actually going to the process of looking at that when higher charges coming into the new year, and that day I do me now.
Just on that. Mr. Phelps, I drive past that Stone Depot. That's Saturday months. Having issues with operators. That right?
Predominantly, it's, so the actual plan itself is not very good, so it's money by, employment. At this point in time. We are doing a review of our fleet, if we are going to utilise contract forward, have trouble to secure a right, then obviously that, so.
That's the conversation. Thought I'd just pop my head into here. Graders are very good assets, unlike trucks. Trucks can slow well rapidly and contractors trucks. Assets, graders. The expensive assets and the type of thing that be nice to get off the books for the sake of a few dollars, long term. I think we've got a pretty good balance of graders having to be trucks. Just as somebody, I think Councillor Campbell as well, as somebody who spent a lot of time in the if I can offer sort of wisdom in that front, may or may not be taken, most likely, but I'll offer it anyway. The number of graders we have has worked well in the past, and they're big strong assets, strongly advised with trucks.
Mr. Chair, if I may add, also, it's been a concern of mine greatly, especially out there in the west. I do not believe that the endeavours to get operators, it has been successful. There's something wrong. There has been grader operators out there that have not been utilised and put on general duties, and I object strongly to that. But the graders, I agree. We can always say we can go and get a contract. We can't, but there are contractors and contractors that have, I believe, substandard operators. I think, yeah, they do a job, but they're not really the job that should be done. And I just think that we should be. I don't think that our recruitment program needs to be really overhauled. There's something wrong there, and there's something wrong with the fact that some of the grader I'm talking about out in Maryville, have not been used when they are good operators. A particular contractor out there, I have big questions over that, and I've seen some of the work that's being done, and I just think that that we should be keeping our graders. And there was one. We had 3 out there. We've only got 2, and then we're relying on the contractor. So it's a question that's very vexing for me, especially from out there.
Whilst ever we're competing with the mining industry for personnel, which is what we are, every time, it's my understanding, every time we train someone, they get 140 at least to go down and do it for a mining company. I understand your reticence, and I understand your emotion around it, but the simple fact is, people are always going to find the money and go after it. I don't disagree with you about the way that we've got the graders sitting there. Personally, I'd hire them based on need, and there's plenty of fire graders out there. We don't need to own things. There's nothing that says we have to own them. But I know that that's not liked out in the West. That theory is not liked out in the West. That's all right, but not a lot of things that I say is liked out in the West. So, but I just think that the staff are doing the best job that they can with the information that they've got and the market that they're in.
Yes.
Thank you, Councillors, for that robust discussion. Yes, that's it.
Let him on here.
As I said, it's a review. Obviously, we had disposal of assets. And without that due diligence behind it. Moving into our operating expenditure here, we're about about $2.7 million spent at the moment. The main contributors here is financial services is lower by about 74,000. We had a bit of an increase in our corporate overhead recovery projects, which is quite good. So we've utilised a bit of grant funding for our overheads. Our fleet management costs are a little bit higher by about 130,000, just to the cost of fuel coming through, but a bit higher than we anticipated in the budget. Information technology is lower by about 183,000. Predominantly it's coming. So we've got had a bit of cost saving with reducing requirements for consultants and a few staff vacancies, but overall the main driver is software licensing. So we'll find that that will be caught up by the end of this year. Governance and risk costs are high by about 73,000, increase in our insurance. And also we had a additional cost with regard to our external audit of line, just in regards to further work required around the our asset, the infrastructure asset revaluations and write-downs.
Can I just make a statement on that before we go on and the audit that we've been through? So the Auditor General's Office has decided in their infinite wisdom that they'll raise prices by 30% this year. There's nothing we can do as a council to stop that. There is another council in the New South Wales jurisdiction that has refused to pay and therefore will have an unqualified audit for the year. But that's not an option. You do have to pay it. You don't have a choice. For anyone out there listening, you do not have a choice. We don't get a say in this. This is another cost shifting from the state government.
And saying something.
We certainly have, and will continue to as long as there's a state government.
Just curious on the insurance increases here. I believe I was informed we've had a reduction in some of our insurances. What's our increase in insurance costs and what's our decrease in insurance costs?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. Normal general insurance across the board, which is your public liability, your property insurance, your motor vehicle insurance, is typically gone up by about 10% over the course of the last financial year. And it has been debated that will be the same case next year coming through possibly, but we'll be able to get our premiums. The one that does move around significantly is our workers' compensation insurance, which effectively is based on our claims history coming through and that obviously a level of our wage bill. So it has seen a reduction. We've had a lot of claims, high level of claims in about 4 years ago. Yeah. So that is our experience.
Mr. Chair, just really, I know I'm about to open the time, but when will they start to level out? Is it over a 10-year period or is it just over I mean, we don't have the number of claims, length of claims that we were back in those times. When can we look at a better reduction?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'll take that one. The workers' comp works on a 3-year rolling average. So this year, we're still being impacted by things that happened back in the 21, 22, or 2021 year as well. What Mr. Bell's alluding to is that by the time we get to the next year, we will have 3 good years in which the average will be very low, and that bad year will be behind us and no longer used in the calculation. Now, if we have another bad year, that will then be used going forward for the next 2 or 3 years until it is out there. So we've seen probably an estimate of about $200,000 reduction in our workers' comp, because the last 3 years we've had very good workers' comp, good claims in regard to low claims, and that has meant that our premium is now dropping off. It'll probably drop again if we maintain our current level, because the insurance company don't drop more than 30% in any one change. So we've reached our maximum cap for reduction, and we'll probably see a further reduction as long as we keep low claims.
Mr. Chair, thank you for that. Greg, the cycle then, so we can look forward to having that. Now, do we attribute that to the fact of being more having an HR person involved back in those early years? I don't think if we had one that was ineffective. But the main criteria now is getting a worker back to work as quickly as possible, and that's something I'm speaking a bit from our own experience. It's still workers' compensation, but there's a great importance on getting them back to work very, very early.
You're right. So there's been a number of changes. We've got a different culture, it's a different organisation than it was 3 years ago. It's changed. You've got a strong focus on safety in the workplace, so we're stopping the incidents from happening, I hope, early on. We've got a better reporting culture, so we're actually asking staff to report near misses. It won't be, challenged or no action will be taken against the staff member for reporting in the incidents. We want to know what those near misses are. We can fix the problem rather than taking action against the staff member. So that's a change. Our working on safety staff are actually visiting work sites and doing inspections more frequently than they were previously. And you've already mentioned that getting staff back to work as quick as possible is one of the keys. So our return to work facility works very closely with the doctors and medical staff that are treating our staff to ensure that they have the best care and then get returned back to work in the most suitable workplace. So if they don't always return fully to their original job, they may return to work in another role where they're productive, but we're saving works payments there as well. I am proud to say that our staff were our council was the only council in New South Wales last year that reported every incident within the 48-hour requirement. We had 100%.
Well done.
It is worth
Compliance rate in that regard. I believe that was the only council in New South Wales that met that trigger. So again, that's about early reporting, capturing those things and reporting it to make sure within that period.
Thank you.
Thank you. Unfortunately, the workers' comp is the normal insurance until the government steps in and actually regulates the system. If they're a warrant to themselves, say that I was increase it based on what that if you actually increase them. Moving into the other items, government placement still cost time about $500,000. Cost of staffing the facility through multiple lines or regulatory requirements, as well as we've had some consultants in there.
Chairman, thank you. That's very good question I was going to ask. Yeah, look, it is of concern. Of course, it's out there in Merriwell, but I had hoped that we were starting to arrest and change the culture. We have a new CEO, and we should all do the best. But on the other hand, we still have got this large deficit that appears to be continuing. And that probably is more of my concern. How can we arrest that? How can we change I don't think we need to blame staff or something, how can we change that, is there any other way in which we can get more money in?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, council, it comes down to availability of places within the facility. And at the moment, we've got 3 vacancies. So, even though we've tried to attract, people who maybe, feeling that they need to go into care, unfortunately, people aren't ready. So they're on a waiting list, but they're not ready to go at this point in time. So we have been actively trying to attract new residents to come into the facility. Unfortunately, I've got about 3 vacancies, which makes it a massive problem for insurance.
Is it possible for us to get a business case if we expand it to such and such that we can attract more people? Because it seems to be that it is small, I agree with that, but until we get to such a level, in other words, if it's another 5 beds, will that then bring us back into a more productive county position?
Well, through you, Mr. Chair, Councillor Campbell, as we've sort of discussed before, it's the demand. You can build all the beds you want, but there's no demand. And we're not getting full occupancy. All we would achieve by building more rooms is a lot of occupancy rate, because we don't have people ready to go in. Yes, there's a waiting list, and when they're ready to come in, we've generally got a spare bed ready to take them, but we don't have a queue of people waiting to come in, so there's no business case to recommend building more beds, but just the grants.
Mr. Chair, just one further question on that. Is there a demand for higher dependency which would be able to be included in Gowan Place? Higher dependency package.
There's certainly a demand for it, and we look at that as part of that, but I don't know. The same style of care that Gowan Place provides now is certainly. And I'd be probably reluctant to step into any higher care need. While there might be a demand there, there's a significantly higher risk to council to step into that, because you're talking about actual medical care of patients in that regard. So I'd be very cautious about going to any higher care level.
All right. Thank you.
Moving into the next item, which is the real estate costs, a little bit higher by about 90,000, which has some additional admin as well as land development and consultancy costs. So we're starting to get traction in regards to our land development and options available. So obviously over the next few months we'll be able to consult back through the council. So it's cost of hire about 98,000, just with the additional costs of special sales and a bit higher utility costs coming through.
I thought that Chuck Clark was a not a revenue raiser, but at least would be paying for itself.
Yeah,
Is that right? I'm just wondering what's happening.
that's the water being used. So the revenue streams for the truck wash are up, and had to rely on the use of town water instead of the water with the tanks at the moment. That's all. So it's a side effect. Talking with the range is lower by about 83,000, just lower maintenance required to date, to be undertaken. Waste operations is lower by about 250,000, purely a timing issue with regards to our curbside collection. It's been moved their invoice with the council. But we're rushing them, eventually. Public community costs lower by about 78,000, so we've had higher expected service costs incurred at the moment, as we come to looking after a lot of our public toilets and so on. So we just have a bit of a review to see if the actual servicing those and whether or not we're over servicing them come through. So we update that for the next couple of months. Town planning costs are higher by about 113. As mentioned earlier, the grant revenue is a bit higher as well in the town planning spot. We've had the flood management and land studies undertaken, so that's been budget and, I was splitting the building services costs are lower by about 94,000. Just had a number of staff on a bit of extended leave today, so that's higher. Our quarry costs are lower by about 400,000, as mentioned previously. All those costs relate to the blasting and the winter material. That will be recovered over the course of the life of that material that work on. Obviously, we've taken up a final stockpile at the end of the year as inventory, bring that to account. Sporting ground costs are higher by about 200,000, increase water costs in the water usage and servicing of the ground. So again, it's one of those ones we're sitting back now and with those costs coming through for our servicing requirements. Bridge maintenance costs are lower by about 240,000. Obviously, the reduced maintenance requirements coming through all the bridges, and we've gone through that replacement program to replace 14 timber bridges with concrete structures. Local roads, admin and training is higher by about 240, and it's remained high coming through. So we continue to do our training of our staff and providing a new form of road condition assessment software. So the staff have undertaken that. So each year now we'll be able to give a picture of how our roads look, where previously it was every 5 years. So it's been very
Just on that point, how effective has that been? I thought, well, I think it's going to cost 15,000 something, or it was 15,000 coming to someone on the hill. But the idea behind it, I think, is very, very good. How effective has it been? Has it assisted us in any of our grant applications? You know, I know also the grading, maintenance grading, staff costs and training, which I think is a great idea, but that's what I know. How effective has this been? You need to look at it.
But what I understand from staff have already said, it's going to be very worthwhile going forward. We've experienced a lot of issues in regards to recovery for our flood damage works that we've taken. So we haven't had before and shot on the roads. This will suffice that. So effectively, the guys will be out going and inspecting, looking at the roads, but taking a picture of them as we're going and understanding how those roads are to put them into a more proactive state to keep our roads up to scratch.
Little facetious. Is it going to be after we grade the roads or move it as they are now? Don't send them out to fly through photos. It's not be good to take a photo of it now.
I think the road needs a grade. We can send it out there now because then show them that trim the grade. So it's one of those bars that slow, will be to all the find out in the ground. Moving into our local and regional roads maintenance, it's lower than about 17,000. It's lower due to a lot of our staff doing capital works. So we've had a lot of staff deal doing the Forest Road. Plus also we've had they provided a lot of extra additional works. So we've actually a little bit big. So at the moment we're just trying to keep everything maintained. So coming into the state roads costs, they're 70,000 today. So we've had that increased activity in maintenance and the work. All these costs will be on charge by you. The two main items that push up is our sewer admin and maintenance treatment costs. That might have $1 million. This one, we've spoken to the guys in the sewer and water, being put down to the next month to go through and review those costs and pull out any renewals that they've undertaken that they put on the payment. So any renewal costs that are for any of our mains networks in regards to sewer and water will be brought into as a capital item coming through. And I anticipate that the requirements Moving into our capital expenditure, capital expenditure is a little bit, underspent at the moment. $4 million. Main item, this item is, slide ponds at the, we're explaining those out, it's been higher than budget, about 100,000. The Waterberg restoration hangar is lower by 100,000, so that offsets that one, just the delay in the project and the tendering cost with the construction, cost of that facility, rather than anticipated, so we have to use the scope to bring back down the budget, so no additional cost to council will be incurred. Our quarries, will reach this one about 4,000. We're just going through those final stages of our DNA human bit in order to extract further material out of itself. Royal Street way is lower by about 560,000. Overall, we've had delays with fisheries coming through, but it's going to be works are to get a bit of traction now, so we're hoping that those works will start to hit the ground this month and probably finalised in July, August of the next financial year. Before that, as mentioned, the 14 bridge replacement program, high at the moment by 400,000, mainly timing thing. The overall project is all but complete when we wrote this report. With that bridge now completed, so of 14 bridges are now complete and finally once we transport this week. Coulston's Creek project is lower by about $1.3 million, mainly timing. So obviously the works are doing quite well over there in the hill, so it's pushing forward and they're producing good amounts of progress in regards to the rectification of the road. Look, the regional and local heavy patch program, lower by about $90,000, major program. So remain at the course of the June month. Rural resheets, again, this program's for the year, it's a little bit lower spend, about 120,000. Government Lane is lower by about 240. There's been only minimal works completed. We reviewed the delivery time of that, and it's likely to be carried over into the early next financial year.
Mr. Chair, could you just tell me how much money was available for that realignment, etc. of Government Lane? 200, and you haven't spent.
We've only spent, it will be less than 5,000.
Yeah, but that's what I need. Thank you. Going into the next year, I'll
It's not continuing with the program.
thank you.
Cleveland Road works, about 200 flood damage project, funded. Solids Lane, similar to Government Lane, so only minimal works completed today. Next year, clear. The betterment program, waterways and culverts, is high by about 187,000. Mainly due to that we didn't have budgeted initially in for that, but we secured that programs through Resilience New South Wales. We funded through the flood damage department within Greensworth. The Scone CBD works is lower by about 160,000. The works are continuing in schedule, so it's the schedule for completion of the first two blocks. That CBD is still looking for September 24, so that will be achieved. Water mains replacement, $500,000 works continuing on the renewable and flood replacement program. It's very important that we continue to maintain it while we have contractors on the ground, and it's a lot more cost effective to do that, so we don't have to mobilise and demobilise for every part of the works. Building water retake project is now finished. It was lower than 100,000. So that's all been finalised and we're doing finalisation reports to the funding one.
If I just may ask Mr. Chair, with those standby Are they used in?
I'd like to say we would like to use more. I know Mary Ward is used intermittently, not a hell of a lot. And it'll be interesting to see now that they're in the villages, Parkville, Lincoln and Winton, what the usage take up of the mud. Haven't seen too much today, but when it becomes dry, that's when you start seeing.
It has been raining.
It's
Rainfall, and I guess not. I was interested with Mirror because Mirror has been noted as being very dry for the underground, for the water, surface water, and the underground water. Many of the houses, etc., around have got their own bores and water, and that's my reason for asking.
Yeah, the stand pipes out of the Merrill depot. And effectively, the revenue streams from there. Very,
Very, thank you.
moving into the Merrill sewer treatment ponds, the clean out was completed, and it was lower than anticipated, about 100,000, which is good. Our sewer mains replacement renewals is low also by about 90,000, no renewal works, required. I'll get very react at what we do. So overall, as you see, it's a positive variance of $11.3 million, which is going to be driven by that $12.4 million received for the plan 358. Overall, the budget position remains the same. We have got some votes coming through in the current month, which come back to a nil effect on the revised budget. The bank funds today, 33.08 million, 31.8 of that is in our investments or our cash management account. Overall, that's been increased by that 12 million that's come in from transport.
Mr. Chair, just regarding our budget, council's budget is not in the credit, but it's running close to what was envisaged. Is that right? So not.
Yeah, so at the end of the year, we anticipate that we in that balance of budget. It's very difficult. You have a lot of rules and everything that happen at the year end. So it'll be interesting to see once we have that.
Yeah, look, thank you, I think it's very important that we can prove then, look, we're going close to a balanced budget. It's very, very hard to project in 12 months ahead of any variances that come in, and yet we're still running close to a balanced budget.
Obviously, a lot of our works have ups and downs. So when we get to the end of the year, we'll find out what's about that and assess. We have a schedule within the papers for the investments that have been at the end of May. Our loan schedule, $29.7 million outstanding in our loan, so we've come down, obviously, the loans coming through, and we haven't identified anything for the coming years. Our capital expenditure, we've got a summary in the papers, but overall, to the end of we spent 42.15 million out of a budget of 56.77 revised. So 74%. So there's a lot of spend happened within that last month. Obviously, we will have a lot of rules taken up. Obviously, with a lot of heavy hitters for Plan 358, as well as the scan CBD. There'll be a lot of money that's coming through in regards to that capital expenditure side. Moving then down into just our summary pages, we've got the schedules there from page 12 through to 15. It gives you an indication at a high level of our service areas, our operating revenue and expenditure and capital expenditure. We have our bank funds and our graph on page 16. As you see, despite the funds jumped significantly in the current month, based on the fact that we received that milestone payment from transport. As mentioned, the investment schedule is on page 17. So still receiving good returns on our investments, so we've got a lot of our investments now with 5 in front of it, so that's quite pleasing. Our loan schedules is on page 18, which just indicates where we're sitting at the moment. Principal outstanding as of the 31st of May, that's the $27 million. 25.2 of that is in the general fund. And our final schedule before we get to the votes is our capital works expenditure. So here we've just got a summary of all our capital expenditure coming through, especially being such a large portion of the budget. It's good to see all those projects within the summarised form coming through, and you see how they're travelling coming into the mix. And the final schedule that we have attached to the report is our votes. So we've got a few movements in there, only identifying that all coming in, but a few movements as well, which is some grant funding and additional water and sewer revenue streams. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Coles. Comments or questions from councillors? We'll move to vote.
I think I've answered all the part of the call. Thank you. Clarity too.
Thank you, councillor Kemp. Now, if we go forward, have I got a mover for the recommendation for the 6 items? Moved by all, I think, Mr. Burns, seconded by councillor Mackenzie. Good, you gotcha.
It's fine.
And all those in favour?
Aye.
The ayes have it. With thanks there, we can move on to the property update. I'll pass now to the general manager to have a little bit of a look through property matters.
I'll take it as read, Mr. Chair. If there's any questions, please take them on board.
All right, are we happy with the property update? Looks like we are.
Absolutely.
Have
Like
I
I say, we
got-
used to get one and now we're getting one every month. It's fantastic.
Have we got them?
Yeah.
Move councillor Burns, seconded councillor Camp. All those in favour?
Aye.
That's good to see. We've got the 36 properties, 36 leased, and it's not only good for our coffers, it's good for the community, the local business people. It's get to utilise them, landing facilities. Move forward onto the notation of the Airport Management Committee.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. The covering report gives the highlights of the numbers, but the minutes will give you a little bit more detail. Again, happy to take it as read and answer any questions that councillors may have.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, yeah, look on page, anyway, the Scone AM 011, Scone Memorial Airport Management Report, a total of 6,316 movements for the financial year 23-24. I think this is really good, and I also like to suggest that this is something that needs to be published, and people need to know that it's not just paid aircraft. There are someone just come in now and again. That's a lot of movements, I suggest, for a small airport. And I think that I don't know whether people know that. If they're not, I think we should put that out in the public and say, well, this is what's happening at the airport. I don't know how we can do that, but anyway.
Yes, really, Mr. Chair, it's about 800 to 900 a month on average, and yes, it does vary from very small trainers through to large commercial aircraft. So if we can find a forum to publish that, we can. It's obviously in the minutes of the airport committee meetings, and we will be in.
And see, most of it, I suggest you that most of the people that are concerned about it don't read that. And it was certainly quite an eye opener to me that it was up as high as it was.
People are concerned. Sorry, through you, Mr. Chair, the people that are concerned do read it. The people that feign concern don't read it and will never read it and will continue to say what they like on Facebook. So, you know, everyone has these documents available to them. I don't see why we have to spoon feed people that don't consider us to know what we're talking about.
I think it's an interesting comment, councillor Campbell. I know the mayor has gone to lengths in community meetings to release those figures, and it's been interesting the reactions of many residents didn't realise the utilisation of that asset. And we have anything from trainers from University of New South Wales to prime ministers. I think one pays more than the other. Indeed. But moving along, have I got a mover to note the minutes? Please, councillor Mackenzie, seconded to councillor Campbell, all those in favour. Let's have it. Moving forward, the Scone and Upper Hunter Regional Sale Yard Committee.
Now, once again, saw the minutes from the meeting, so minutes presented there for councillors to digest. If there's any questions, in happy to take them.
I was present at this meeting. To the meeting there, I did have, I spent a little bit of time up the sale yards. There was some issues not raised at this meeting regarding flooding, and some issues regarding the flooring up there. I've walked those problem areas, and they, as a producer, they're definitely problematic. I'm sure our staff are attending to those. The flooding might be a little problematic, and I know the general manager's working at that on some structural issues there. But it'll certainly be brought up in the next meeting, I would hope. These are held every 3 months, but memories are sometimes short. So we do just need to address that. We're making sure that's to standard. You know, in a space that is dominated by social media and rights, understandably so.
Mr. Chair, the flooding issue is predominantly through surcharging downpipes and gutters. Got the engineers looking at that. There is a significant water storage facility on site with 12 water tanks. All the storm water goes through that. One of the problems is that in order to try and capture everything, it does slow the water down because the water's pushing through those tanks. So we're looking at some sort of bypass method to maybe install when the tanks are full, rather than pushing it through the tanks and slowing the water flow and surcharging all over the place. We control the surcharge.
Yeah. All right, I've got a mover for.
I've just got to make a comment regarding that. With the sludge and etc., I've had those aware of those complaints. Is there some reason that those things have been building up and not being addressed before they get to those bad situations? Is there enough staff to do that, or is the staff perhaps not just being aware of them, and if so, why?
So the matter with the wet material on the floor, on a normal basis, the staff move that with the machine, place it with dry material. The wet weather occurrence that we had last time coincided with one of our staff being on annual leave, and so the staff who were in attendance didn't get to it in time. So it was just two instances occurring that resulted in that. My understanding is normally that is removed by the machine and replaced with dry material fairly regularly. And as you know, we've just removed all the sludge from the sludge unit as well, so it would be more efficient.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy to move.
Having moved, councillor Campbell, seconded Burns, all those in favour, just have it. Look forward to now White Park.
From the same thing, White Park Committee meeting minutes are attached. Happy to take any questions from councillors on the comments or matters arising from this.
Moved.
I wasn't there, so.
I did attend this meeting as well. Curious on this here, just a thought, we consider this and, perhaps think about this new term and so forth, but we consider White Park to be a business item. I wonder whether we do need to have a discussion about whether it is a business item, whether it's a community space. We are the horse capital of Australia, and see sporting fields that are not business spaces and not under certain pressures for profit and the like. At what point do we discuss this space as a community space rather than a business?
Just make a comment on that. At the start of the term, we did discuss that. And we took it out of community and put it into business. For this very reason, because we couldn't run it the way that we needed to actually, and it's not that there's pressure on it, there's pressure on sporting fields as well. It was up to me that sporting fields would be run as a business as well, and there'd be people sitting down there making sure that you're paying as you run around. But it simply put White Park, because of the size of the entity and the figures that are going through there, it had to be moved into a different division.
Yeah, it's probably attribution, Mr. Chair, to both yourselves and Councillor Burns. I guess from an organisational perspective, staff will operate every function of council as efficiently as we can and recoup as much money as we can. That's our aim. However, we recognise that a lot of facilities are provided for community use, such as playgrounds and sporting grounds, and there's no intent to try and recover additional income from those sites. However, White Park was developed as a regional centre rather than a local centre, so we recognise that it's going to be used by people outside of the local government area. The ratepayers of the Shire should be able to benefit from it, but we should be able to generate an income from those people who are coming from further afield. And so we've got a bit of a mixed fee structure in that regard, where we allow local users to use the facility at a very low cost, whilst people who want to use the facility for a very commercial purpose pay proper commercial rates. So it's sort of got a foot in both camps, because the space is used by two different types of users, the top end users and I guess the local users. We want to try and keep that balance right. Happy to look at whatever you call it. It probably won't change the philosophy of staff though, but we'll always continue to operate in the most efficient way and generate as much income as we can from those large commercial users.
No, thank you for the succinct answer. It's something that's Burns will bring to my attention that we did that early on. Misses me to, I don't remember those discussions, but it's obviously a place that
It was very early on. You were still trying to figure out where the pencils were.
and no doubt in a few months' time we'll have a few people that are forgetting the similar conversations. But as somebody who's spent enough time in this place, Councillor Burns, you hit the ground running, and that's always positive in this chain. There's quite a lot of complexity that a lot of people don't see in the general public. But thank you to staff for managing to keep it all under control. Now, Councillor Ken?
Yeah, look, can I just ask not being on this committee for the last term of council, I thought that there was some development of it was brought of the stable, etc. That one of the auctioneers said, look, it's got to be upgraded. I'm just wondering what happened to that. that proposal, or whether it was something that went away now with the development of as the race course, whether that's still relevant. I thought that would possibly be an income stream. I've always been very supportive of White Park. It was when I was elected to council, it was just a big white elephant just going on and nothing happened, nothing development, and everybody criticised. And now I believe it's got the potential of becoming a more business orientated facility. That it is certainly a community benefit for all the Shire and abroad. I'm just wondering whether those particular proposals put forward by that auctioneering company ever came to fruition, or was going to happen, or was just all dropped?
No, thanks, councillor Campbell, through you, Mr. Chair. The the condition is not, right, we would like to upgrade the stables at some stage. Our focus has been on electricity upgrade and camping areas first. In due course, we'd like to get some funds to do the stables and upgrade it. However, they're still being utilised at present, and we do still get an income stream from them. The problem is, it will be a significant amount of money to replace those stables, and we need to consider the cost of doing the work versus the payback period, the total period. It will be an asset and an improvement to the facility long term, but it will take a lot of money to do. So it's probably going to be a grant funded project.
All right, thank you.
It's heritage. So as well,
On the
Oh, you might be right, Dan.
which quite challenging. All right, do I have a mover? White Park, move, councillor Mackenzie.
you were there once. There.
I'll second it.
I can see.
You can say you were there.
Second, councillor Williamson. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Now, requests for donations.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. There's two requests for donations, which you can see in the attachment. One is recommended for, or has been approved at this stage under delegation, and one has been rejected. We agree that council can always override these and bring them back to council, but I've provided a table there, and the reasoning for the approval and the rejection for each is described in the table.
Happy to move. Happy to move, councillor Mackenzie. Second, councillor Burns. Before I put to a vote there, I'll just discuss on some of these things too. I'm happy to put this through as read today, but on issues like, say, our equestrian from the western regions, probably an interesting conversation perhaps into the open meeting at the end of the period with the other councillors. These residents looking for sponsorship for what is a significant undertaking. So we might have further discussions leading into that.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. We did have a fairly robust discussion in our workshop on that matter, and this is policy that we've adopted.
Yeah.
Councillors can always request that one.
And now, are we happy to move forward? All those in favour? The ayes have it. We move forward to noting responses to previous questions. Just on White Park there, we were just discussing White Park, and we're looking at in-kind support from Upper Hunter Shire Council over the festival period $20,070, which is quite a significant amount, and does show what support we are offering the local events. So thank you for the information provided there. I wonder if the general manager has any thoughts on the next response regarding.
Oh, you're talking about the RMS?
Yeah, my original discussion was around, we were having issues of losing money on that RMS program out west. Notice, take that answer as, but I wonder what your thoughts are further, Mr. General Manager.
So at present, we're recovering all our costs.
Yeah.
in the RMS program, and we're getting a small margin.
Yeah, okay, so we've remedied problems we've had in the previous 12 months. That's the main. Was over there, and thank you for the extra bit of information there. I've got to move for noting those. Especially comments, moved Councillor Byrne, seconded Councillor Campbell, all those in favour. The ayes have it, for it closed. Have got any further comments, questions from councillors or staff? Very good. Well, all things being equal, to close the meeting at 10:07. Thank you, Robin.